Good day, everyone. It is I, Sir Review, filming yet another top 10s list. But I am currently in the process of making my top 10 worst movies and worst games list. So that's a work in progress. So until I'm done with that, I am gonna do my top 10 heroes list and then later my top 10 villains list. At least until my top 10 worst games and movies lists are done. So, in case you haven't seen any of my previous videos, um, I just want you to get to know me a little better. So I want to tell you like all the stuff that I like, all the other kinds of things that I like regarding movies or video games and TV shows. Um, I might do a couple of like Q&A videos, especially during gameplay videos, like live streaming. Like if I'm live streaming a gameplay video, you can leave me you can ask me a question and I can see it on the screen and answer it since I use a PlayStation 4. So I'll be doing that once I start doing my gameplay videos. So again, I might have to look down a couple of times at my list because today I'm filming my top 10 heroes list, which are the top 10 heroes of any movie, show, or video game that I've ever seen or played. So you might have to see me look down a couple of times because I have a terrible memory, so I might forget a couple of them. So here we go. Let's start with 10. Number 10 on my list is Rambo. Now, I, for one, am just a huge fan of anything action-wise. Any kind of action movie or any kind of action franchise that is good, just has a good story flow, great action, and decent character development, I actually really like. I'm not always in it just for all the action. I want to see good character development and stuff like that. But they did that pretty well in Rambo. And I think he's just one of those just hardcore heroes who is not afraid to just go into a situation with guns just ablazing. Just everything is just riddled with bullets once he's done. He's one of those heroes who's just not afraid to just get down, get dirty, and just wipe out everything in sight that is a threat. So he's definitely worth being on my top 10 heroes list. Number 9 is yet another one of my favorite childhood franchise heroes, and that is Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, who is I just think one of my favorite actors ever. He delivered a stellar performance as Indiana Jones. It was just incredible. He delivered a performance that makes you think, man, because many kids at the time didn't always want to be, adventurous. I mean, a lot of kids nowadays kind of want to, but back then, Spielberg was kind of like, I want to show these kids how cool it can be to be an adventurer. So that's what he did. He portrayed this awesome adventurer called Indiana Jones. He's awesome he's pretty much just awesome in almost any kind of way imaginable that an adventurer could be. And how he's very, self-confident in what he does, but he's also very careful to not mess up because he knows that he's eventually going to make a couple of mistakes along the way. But he's not afraid to make those mistakes. So he's definitely worth being on this list. Number 8, I had trouble choosing between these two characters, especially seeing as though they both come from shows that are within the same universe, and they're both Aang from the Avatar: The Last Airbender show and Korra from The Legend of Korra. They both shows are within the same universe. The Legend of Korra follows the Avatar: Last Airbender show. Both are just some of my favorite shows ever. I just love those two shows. And I had trouble choosing between which one I think was better than the other, so I put them both as number 8. Here's why. Aang, he starts, as the Avatar. He's young, he has a lot to learn, but he's really confident in learning all this stuff, and yet he's super goofy, and that's really good. Korra, on the other hand, is kind of different. She's always been, self-confident and always been kind of a badass. She is always, willing to just go into any fight and not come out until she's done her job. And it's really cool because if you think about it, she kind of had control of most of her abilities except for one of them. I'm not going to spoil much in case if any of you haven't seen it. She doesn't have one of the powers, which there are four powers in the shows: air, water, earth, fire. The avatar is born once every generation, and that's the avatar's duty to actually, control all four elements and keep all the nations at peace. But some nations, like in the Last Airbender show, the Fire Nation doesn't believe that the Avatar should control all this, so they kind of break free from all the other tribes, which is kind of a letdown because I like the Fire Nation. They're pretty cool, and I think they're a really cool choice for the villains. But in The Legend of Korra, it's different. All the tribes are kind of living together again, except there are some people from each kind of tribe who try to keep the Avatar from ruling them. So that's basically what the Avatar is. It's a person who is born every generation, or at least every couple of generations. It's hard to remember, but they can control almost any, like they have all the elements, and they could do that. Aang begins he was born as an airbender, and he has to learn all the other elements throughout the show, which is really cool, and it gives him more character development, I think, than Korra. Aang has a little more character development because he's you can see him maturing, you can see him learning more and more, and he's starting as a young kid who has barely enough skills in anything, and ultimately leading up to this really great warrior who is willing to fight the Fire Nation and bring peace back to all the tribes. So that's really cool. Korra, on the other hand, in her show, she's a bit different. She begins by having all three of the abilities except for one, and she has to learn that one ability. But she's not like, young, really immature, and like has too much to learn. She's always been a badass. She's always been very tough, very headstrong, and she's kind of stubborn when it comes to having to learn stuff. So that's kind of something that, you could see in her. Granted, she doesn't have as much character development as Aang, but you can see that there's some character development growing within her. So I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages over each other. But they both really deserve their number 8 spot on my list. And it's very rare that I put two of the same kinds of thing into one category. Number 7 is Jason Bourne. I've always loved the Jason Bourne series. Ever since I saw the first one, which is Bourne Identity, that was a very good one, and I really wanted to see the rest of them. And when the recent movie Jason Bourne came out, that was really epic way to kind of, in a sense, conclude it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they might be making a couple more. I mean, you never fully know. That was a good way to conclude what we have seen so far. So that was a really good way to conclude it. But on to Jason Bourne himself. He's played by Matt Damon, who is another one of my favorite actors. And basically, Jason Bourne is just this. He was an assassin who had his memory wiped out, so he doesn't remember who he used to be and all that jazz. But he's tough. He can do a lot of stuff. And one of the coolest things about him is that he can just find almost any way to kill someone. He's trying to hide from the FBI and the CIA and all those government groups who are trying to, take him down because they see him as a threat. Because, he used to work for them, and they don't want him ruining any of their secrets, so they try to take him down. And he's trying to live a normal life and trying to, escape all of this. And he's just this really awesome, guy to watch. You just see him fight; it's really incredible. He's not a jokester. He is tough. He is serious. He's always one step ahead of almost anyone he's up against. And like I said before, he could take almost anything and kill you with it. He can take just a simple paperclip and find a way to take you out. That is just downright unbelievable. I can barely even learn how to take out someone, with just a normal shotgun because I can't even work the safety. So he is definitely worth being on my top 10 heroes list. Number 6 is a female protagonist from one of my favorite movie franchises, and that is Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise. Now, Ellen Ripley kind of delivered a new kind of female protagonist into the movie genres. Because if you think about it, back then, female protagonists weren't viewed as, kick-ass, awesome, just characters. They were viewed as like this, either a girl who's just wanting to learn more about her life, or it's basically in a drama or something like that. But Ellen Ripley delivered a new kind of female protagonist, and she kind of delivered this performance that shows you, hey, even a female character, even a female protagonist in movies like this can be an ultimate badass. So she is very cool, and it's not just the fact that she's a female in this. She is also just really cool when it comes to like knowing how to hide from the xenomorphs. She's really good at hiding from them. She knows what they do because she's encountered one firsthand and actually lived to tell the tale. And she can outsmart these aliens if she is careful enough to. She can she can read people. She can tell if someone's up to something or not. It is actually a really cool thing that she has. So again, it's not just because of the fact that she's a female, like an awesome female protagonist, but just because of all the cool things she can do. It just makes her really good and definitely puts her on my list. Number 5 is Daryl from The Walking Dead. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be saying, well, why aren't you choosing anyone else? I mean, I'm just going to flat out say it. I love a lot of the characters in The Walking Dead, okay? A lot of them. And there were so many of them. And yes, I know a lot of them have died. I'm not going to say who, just in case any of you haven't seen the show. There are a lot of characters that are really cool and I've grown fond of who ultimately died. But Daryl, I mean, now I haven't watched season 7 because I got into it the first couple of episodes, but I didn't find myself wanting to see the rest of season 7. It just got boring for me. I still love the show, but I just never really gotten into season 7. I might watch it sometime in the future, but for now, it's not really one of my best interests. But on to Daryl. Daryl is one of the guys who just he takes time to actually trust someone, which is actually someone I can understand because, when it comes to a zombie apocalypse like this, in this show, you can't really trust anyone because everyone's out for themselves. Everyone's trying to take care of themselves. And Daryl was like that at first. He was just trying to, get the stuff he needs and just head on his own way. But he grew fond of the group he was with, and he was, like they were like family. He was like they were like his family. But beyond that, he's a guy he's a great tracker. He's great at stalking something. He's great at self-defense and defending someone else. He's like, if I had to choose anyone to have my back in any kind of zombie apocalypse, it would be Daryl because he knows exactly what he's doing. And he knows exactly how to formulate a plan, how to do that plan with ease, and ultimately come out on top. He is really cool. He's basically pretty much my favorite character in the show. I mean, I haven't really thought of who my favorite character in the show is because I like a lot of them. But if I had to choose anyone to have my back, it would be him. Number 4 is Nathan Drake from Uncharted series. Now, the Uncharted series is a video game series that's based on the... So, the Uncharted series is it's a video game series by Naughty Dog. And their goal is to, kind of make it like a mix of Tomb Raider and Indiana Jones in a sense. So, Nathan Drake, he's the main character in these games. He's the descendant of the Sir Francis Drake, who they learn a lot more about as the games progress. But Nathan Drake is just this really cool character. I would choose him to be one of my best friends ever. He is funny. He is tough. He's always there to look after a friend. Even if you just met him, he will protect you if he learns to trust you. And another cool thing about him is how intelligent he is and how well he can just analyze something he finds and discover what it can do and what it says and all that stuff. His friends are really cool. He has some of the coolest things he can do. He has gone on incredible quests, and in the Uncharted franchise. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, the Uncharted series made it into my top 10 favorite video games list just because of how great the story is, how great the graphics are. And Nathan Drake it just has almost every kind of attribute that you just adore in like an adventurer, just like Indiana Jones. But I think Nathan Drake is just a wee bit more on like the younger side, like cause nowadays people see adventurers like that like Indiana Jones as just like just guys who are just out there to just look for the truth and put stuff in museums and all that stuff. Nathan Drake, on the other hand, he's trying to discover history. He's trying to like rewrite stuff that we were told in our textbooks. He's not out there just to take something and put it in a museum or anything like that. He's trying to discover what kind of true history lies out there. So he is really cool. Definitely worth being on my top 10 list. Now we're down to my final three. Number 3 is Han Solo. Yet again, another character played by Harrison Ford. And now Han Solo, I could have chosen a lot of Star Wars main protagonists. Even a couple from the prequels. There were some protagonists from the prequels that were actually pretty good. But I just think Han Solo comes out on top. Why? Because he's headstrong. He's confident. He knows what to. He knows how to fight. He has experience with this kinds of stuff. He's wisecracking. His wisecracks are just hilarious. He is funny. He is just everything you think of when you think of a space pirate, smuggler. But he just ultimately becomes just this awesome hero slash smuggler who is just out there just to like have just like be the life of the party and all that stuff. Just Han Solo is just one of the coolest sci-fi characters I have ever seen. He is amazing and all that jazz. And I every time I watch the original Star Wars movies, I always look forward to when he comes in and says some of the coolest lines ever. Number 2 is another character from a video game, and that's Rico from Just Cause. Now, many people would be thinking, why, do you just like him just because he can do explosions? Then I'm like, that's part of it. But that's not the main reason. The main reason why I love Rico so much is just because of how willing he is in order to just go into enemy lines and just do it just to free a bunch of people he doesn't know. He's trying to free people he doesn't know. I might be basically talking about Just Cause 3 because that's pretty much the only one I've played. But yeah, he's willing to go into the line of fire just to protect and free a bunch of people he doesn't even know. And he does it guns ablazing, explosions everywhere, and yeah, he's just this awesome character. He has this wingsuit. He could just do tons of incredible stuff that very few characters in movies and video games can do. He is awesome. I like the way he talks, though. How he acts is just really cool, and it totally fits like all the stuff that he can do. So he's definitely worth being number 2 on my top 10 list. Now, before I get to number 1, I'm gonna have to do some honorable mentions. Now, I love a lot of heroes in a lot of movies because, I love so many movies and a lot of them have a lot of really good protagonists. And a lot of, even some bad movies have some pretty good protagonists. And here's some honorable mentions of some, protagonists that almost made it onto my list. There are people like Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible. There's even James Bond from the James Bond movies. There's Jake Sully from the Avatar movie. There's also there's what's his name? I also like another one I was actually really close to being put on to this was Bumblebee from it's not the Transformers movies, but the one from the new show Transformers Robots in Disguise, because I like the character in that show because he is actually conflicted with all this stuff he has to do for Optimus now that Optimus isn't around at the time. So he has to learn how to lead the Autobots temporarily until Optimus gets back. But now on to my number 1 favorite hero ever, and that is Batman. Now, before I go into details, yes, I am a huge Batman fan. I just love Batman in every way. I love Batman. But many people will be asking, well, what kind of Batman are you talking about? The dark and brooding kind or the typical wisecracking kind, like in the Lego Batman movie? I'm like, I love the Lego Batman movie, but my favorite kind of Batman are the kinds from the Arkham games and the Dark Knight series. Those are the two kinds that are just my favorite, just the dark and brooding kind, because it shows how Batman's kind of evolved over the years. He's gone from just like Adam West's cool and goofy show all the way up to just he could gradually goes up to a darker level, and like up to Batman Begins, where he's just full out just like this dark and brooding hero who is willing to just risk his life for the people of a city that's just corrupt and just everything criminal wise. He has now another thing that's really cool that I love about Batman is how strategic he is. He doesn't just need his utility belt just to do a job. He can use his tactics. He's very smart. He could do anything, and he can get into almost any situation and find a way out of it using his mind. And that is really good thing to have, especially if you're being a character who is surrounded by all these very intelligent villains who try to outsmart you. Especially in the Batman Arkham series, where these villains are trying to outsmart you. You have to think like Batman. You have to think of what he would do, the real Batman would do in this situation. And that's really cool. He's skilled. I like how he's a ninja. His cape is super cool. It's just I like, especially in the Arkham games, how his suit looks. His suits have gotten so cool over the years. Now, granted, there were a few mishaps, bat nipples, but there were a lot of Batman suits that were just really great. And some of my favorites are in the Batman Arkham games because they're cool. They portray Batman so well, especially seeing him as a dark and disturbing character just by looking at him will get you scared. So that's really cool. I just love Batman. Everything about him is cool, in my opinion. He's the ultimate hero to me, and he is definitely number one on my top 10 list. So thank you guys for watching. I might be making a top 10 villains list here pretty soon. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions or anything like that, just leave it in the comments below. You can follow me on Instagram at Sir Review, and you can follow me on Facebook, which is my real name, Corbin Marcus. So also don't forget to subscribe to my friend's channel. His name is Caleb Malden. His channel is called Nerdy Bros Gaming and Company. It is super cool. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever known. His gameplay videos make me laugh all the time because they are super funny. Anyway, see you guys around. Peace out.